Tonight, we begin a journey into stillness, a world shaped by silence, simplicity, and unexpected joy. Not the stories filled with spectacle, not the stigmata, not the birds gathered to listen, but the quiet, human truth of what it meant to live alongside St. Francis of Assisi. If stories like these bring you peace, I'd be deeply grateful for a like or a subscribe. It helps more than you might know, and it allows me to continue offering these quiet reflections. Feel free to share where you're listening from and what time your day is winding down. It's always a wonder to see this gentle circle of listeners connected by rest across time and place. Now, dim the lights, maybe light a candle, settle into your space, and let us return to 13th century Italy. You're about to walk through a day in the life of St. Francis. You wake to the first touch of sunlight slipping through the cracks in the stone hut. The mattress beneath you is filled with straw, scratchy, but familiar. Your body carries the quiet ache of sleep on uneven ground. Yet the cool morning air moves gently over your skin, soothing where the night left stiffness. The scent of the room is earthy and clean. Olive oil and damp stone mingle in the air, with a faint trace of dried lavender resting in a wooden bowl near the door. The friary is plain, sparse, a space where every object has meaning, and nothing is taken for more than what is needed. A bell sounds in the distance, soft and steady. It rings from the chapel tower, and its echoes stretching across the morning fields. The call of doves and blackbirds rises with it, their songs drifting in from the olive trees nearby. It is time for morning prayer. Around you, the friars begin to stir. They rise slowly, without alarm, without hurry. Their rhythm follows the light, not the hour. They move in silence, but not alone. Each step, each gesture, flows with peace and quiet understanding. One folds his blanket with care. Another leans over a clay basin to wash his face. You rise as well. Your robe is folded beside your bed. Its fabric is coarse and humble, dyed in the soft tones of earth by walnut husk. You pull it over your head and tie it with a length of rope. The knots remind you of your vows: poverty, chastity, obedience. Simple words. But lives built around them are anything but. You step outside. A layer of mist rests gently over the hills. The friary, set on a slope, looks out over the countryside. Beyond its walls lie vineyards, olive groves, fig trees, stretching across the quiet morning land. Your bare feet press into the cool, stony path. It crunches softly as you walk. The path winds through herbs and small flowering shrubs, planted not for beauty, but for healing. Lavender, sage, rosemary. Familiar friends in a world without medicine. You reach the chapel. Its wooden doors are worn smooth by years of reverent hands. Inside, the friars have gathered. Some are already kneeling. Others are lighting candles in silence. There is no performance, no organ, no spectacle, only breath and stillness and the quiet devotion of shared prayer. The voices begin, low melodic chants in Latin. They rise like morning mist to the high wooden rafters. You join your voice to theirs. You don't understand each word, but the rhythm holds you. It carries you. It calms your thoughts. You glance toward Francis, seated near the front. His head is bowed. He chants, not with display, but with the quiet sincerity as though of someone who truly believes he is being heard. This is how each day begins, with silence, with prayer, with the shared breath of those who seek something greater than themselves. After the final Amen fades into the chapel's thick stone walls, Francis rises. He does not hurry. Each movement is quiet, gentle, and full of intention. It feels less like the silence has ended, and more like it has simply changed shape. You walk beside him into the cool morning air. The mist has begun to lift, and sunlight spills across the hillsides, painting them in soft gold and deep green. Francis says nothing. His steps are slow, steady, unforced. He walks toward the edge of the friary ground, where wildflowers bloom among the olive trees. There he kneels. You find a nearby stone, smooth and warm, and sit with your back to the rising sun. Francis prays without speaking. His head is bowed. His hands are folded gently in his lap. His face turns toward the growing light. Around you, the birds begin again. Finches call to one another. Larks flutter above. Doves coo softly from the trees. The wind moves through the olive branches like a whisper. Time slows. There is no need for words. No need to explain or ask. This is prayer in its truest form. Stillness, presence, gratitude. Eventually, Francis lifts his gaze and meets yours with a quiet smile. "Let us walk," he says. "There is no plan, no direction." You begin down a narrow trail lined with wild thyme and soft earth. The air is still cool, but the sun promises warmth. You carry nothing. No pack, no coin, no sandals. Your bare feet grow familiar with the ground. You feel the texture of each pebble, the soft dust, the gentle heat rising from the earth. You pass a fig tree. Francis pauses and reaches for a low branch. He picks a ripe fruit, its skin just beginning to split. He offers it to you, and you sit together in the grass to share it. Its sweetness surprises you. Francis laughs softly. "Brother Fig always shares generously," he says. Further along, you come to a small stream. The water bubbles gently over smooth stones. Francis kneels and splashes his face. He drinks from his cupped hands, then gestures for you to do the same. The water is cold and clean. It refreshes not just your thirst, but something deeper inside. Then in the distance, you hear the world beginning to stir. Carts creak across the road. Animals rustle. Children laugh somewhere beyond the trees. Francis walks toward the sound, not away from it. His steps are light, full of joy, like someone heading toward familiar voices. You walk beside him, not as student and teacher, not as saint and admirer, just two souls walking the same road in peace. The trail begins to widen and smooth. It winds down gently toward Assisi. The town slowly reveals itself. Stone buildings stack along the hillside. Red-tiled roofs catch the light. Wooden shutters open one by one, as the village wakes. You and Francis walk side by side. Your shadows stretch long across the dusty road. A farmer passes, guiding an ox. Francis greets him quietly. "Pace bene," he says. "Peace and goodness." The farmer smiles, warm and knowing, as though this moment has been shared before, as though their lives have met many times over bread, over laughter, over silence. As you reach the first houses, a voice calls out, "Francesco!" It is the village baker, standing near a clay oven set into the wall of her home. She holds out a few burnt crusts from her morning batch. Francis thanks her, not only with words, but with his whole being, his face, his hands, his smile. He offers you one of the warm loaves. You break off a piece. Together you walk into the town's narrow lanes. Vendors are setting up their stalls. Baskets of grapes, jars of golden honey, bolts of linen stacked in rows. The air is rich with scents firewood, crushed herbs, and the faint sweetness of fermenting fruit. Children run past, laughing, their feet bare and splashing through puddles. One slows when he sees Francis, then turns, runs back, and throws his arms around his robe. Francis kneels to embrace him. He brushes the boy's hair gently. No words are spoken, but the child's joy speaks for both of them. You reach a shaded well in the center of the square. An elderly man sits nearby, weaving a basket from reeds. Francis watches in silence for a while, then asks softly, "Brother, how many baskets do you make each day?" The man smiles. "Enough to buy food, not enough to rest." Francis nods. "Then let us bless your hands for doing what they must." He takes the old man's palms in his own. Weathered hands, steady hands, hands rarely honored. The gesture is simple, but something shifts in the man's eyes. Soften. A dog appears, ribs showing beneath matted fur. Francis kneels once more. He breaks a piece of bread and offers it. "Even the smallest among us is beloved," he says. The dog takes it gently, then disappears into the alley. A woman calls out from a doorway. Her voice carries hope and worry. She asks for prayers for her sick mother. Francis nods without hesitation. He asks her mother's name. "Giovanna," she says. He repeats it aloud, placing a hand to his chest. "We will pray for Giovanna tonight, and trust that love will reach her before we do." There is no formality in him, no distance, no divide. He walks the town not as a figure of holiness, but as a brother. You approach the edge of the square, where a potter is working clay at a spinning wheel. His hands are sure and steady. The red earth begins to rise. A bowl takes shape from a formless lump. Francis watches, fascinated. "See how the potter shapes with patience," he says. He does not force. He waits for the clay to yield. That is how God shapes the soul. The potter presses his thumb to the center, creating a hollow. Francis watches closely. "Even emptiness has purpose," he whispers. "It is where grace will be held." Around you, the town breathes in rhythm. No rush. Only the natural pace of shared life. You feel it beneath your feet, in the cobblestones, in the sound of hooves, in the rustling fig leaves overhead. As the sun rises higher, the warmth of the day begins to settle over everything. Francis walks on, turning down a shaded lane. Grapevines twist overhead, heavy with fruit. You see a group of beggars resting against the wall. Some lower their eyes. One reaches out. Francis kneels, placing both of his hands around the man's fingers. "We have no coin," he says, "but we can offer you our prayer, our friendship, and half a fig." You sit with them, not above, not apart, just present. The fig is passed around, a small circle, a quiet grace. The talk drifts, aching joints, lost loved ones. What birds were singing this morning? Francis does not preach. He listens, and in doing so, he honors their dignity. Nearby, a young mother sits nursing a child in the shade. Her eyes are tired, her body still. Francis does not disturb her. He only nods gently and murmurs, "May your rest be as holy as your work." It occurs to you that this walk through the village has been its own kind of prayer. Not spoken, not memorized, but lived. Francis leads you now beyond the town's edge, up a path that curves toward the hills. He turns back for a moment, glancing at the place he once called home. A place once filled with coins, robes, wine. He speaks softly. You know, I used to think peace was something I could buy. But now, I know it's something I must choose every day. You walk beside him, feet covered in dust, the robe on your back growing damp with warmth. Your stomach reminds you it is nearly midday. But still, you feel full. You and Francis have left the town behind. The voices, the movement, the noise have faded. In their place is open silence. A narrow trail rises ahead, winding through groves of cypress and twisted olive trees. The heat has settled now, not harsh but firm, like the day itself asking you to slow down. Your stomach growls quietly. Francis hears it and smiles without a word. "Shall we rest?" he asks, gesturing to a wide tree whose branches reach out over a patch of flattened grass. You settle beneath the cypress. Its shade is deep and welcome. The air is thick with the scent of warm earth and pine resin. Nearby, a small stream winds slowly through the underbrush. The water moves gently clear, shallow, and just enough to sing. Francis opens a simple satchel from beneath his robe. Inside are only 3 things: a piece of dark bread, a few olives, and a flask of water wrapped in cloth. He lays them between you and says softly, "Let us be thankful." He breaks the bread in half, offering you the larger piece. Then he divides the olives, pressing one into your palm with a small nod, not of formality, but reverence. You share the water, passing the flask back and forth, each of you wiping its mouth with the edge of the cloth. The meal is simple, monastic, but it never feels lacking. You eat slowly. Each bite feels like more than nourishment. It is rhythm. It is ritual. It is gratitude. A grasshopper lands on Francis's sleeve and stays there, still and bold. He does not brush it away. Instead, he whispers with a grin, "Brother Hopper, enjoying your shade." You chuckle softly. He turns to you and smiles wider. "Everything belongs," he says. "Everything is welcome at this table." You sit in silence again, chewing slowly. Then Francis leans back onto one elbow. He gazes up through the green lattice of sunlight and leaf. "The world was made for joy," he murmurs. "Not wealth, not pride, joy. That's the difference." You ask him if he ever misses the life he left behind. The comforts, the wine, the silk, the certainty of money. He doesn't answer right away. Not to sound wise, but because he truly considers the question. "I miss nothing that kept me from seeing," he says at last. "Comfort often makes us blind, but hunger sharpens the eyes. The soul. Above you, a hawk circles high, silent, against a sun-bleached sky. The shadows of the trees shift across your robe as a breeze drifts through the grove." Francis begins to speak again. Not to teach, but to reflect. "I used to speak too much," he says. "Words piled on words and are like stones trying to reach heaven. But the more I emptied myself, the more I found God in silence, in stillness, in each blade of grass." He picks up a fallen olive leaf from the ground. He holds it to the light between 2 fingers. "This leaf," he says, "has never tried to be anything other than itself. It grows, it falls, it returns to the earth. It knows its place. That is holiness." You chew the last of your bread, slowly, letting his words sink in. Then he turns to you more directly. "You've walked beside me today," he says. "What have you seen?" You pause. You think. You answer honestly. You've seen patience. You've seen poverty that does not feel like suffering. A kind of wealth not counted in coins. Francis nods, as if that is enough. "We were not made to own the world," he says. "We were made to bless it." You sit together beneath the tree. The sun begins to lower in the sky, its light stretching longer through the branches. The cicadas begin to sing again, as though they are calling the heat into memory. Francis leans his head gently against the cypress trunk. He closes his eyes. "I used to be afraid of emptiness," he says. "I thought it meant failure. But emptiness is where God begins." You watch his breathing, calm, even. His hands rest open in his lap. There is no reason to leave. No one waiting. No task left undone. Only the tree, a friend, a few crumbs of bread, and peace. The sun has begun its slow descent behind the western hills. Its golden light spreads wide over the countryside, casting long, stretching shadows across the path. You and Francis begin the walk back to the friary. The road is quiet now. Not silent, but softened, like a song fading gently into its final notes. Francis walks with unhurried steps, pausing now and then to look up at the sky. Evening, he says, is God's benediction. A bow before sleep. You pass a shepherd guiding his flock home. The bells around the goats' necks chime softly with each step. The shepherd nods in greeting. Francis lifts his hand in quiet blessing. The fields are hushed. Birds settle in the trees. Far off, the chapel bell tolls one final time. Vespers. The call to prayer. The moment to turn inward as the world turns outward. You climb the last rise toward the friary. Its stone walls glow in the amber light of sunset. It is not a grand building, more a handful of humble huts than a monastery. Yet it feels vast in its stillness, as if the quiet itself holds something eternal. Francis stops at the chapel door. He kneels. He presses his forehead softly against the wood. You kneel too, mirroring his reverence. Inside, the air is cool. It smells of beeswax and ancient stone. Candles flicker along the altar, their flames swaying in rhythm with the breath of the room. The friars are already gathered, spread loosely across the floor, each one in silent prayer, in meditation, in stillness. Their robes rustle softly, like dry leaves on the ground in autumn. You find your place. The stone beneath your knees is hard, but grounding. You breathe deeply. The air carries the scent of smoke, wax, earth, and lavender. No incense, no grandeur, only presence. Francis remains near the entrance, a still figure in the candlelight. Then, without fanfare, he steps forward. He begins to chant. His voice is untrained, but clear and steady. A single line from a song. O Lord, open my lips, and my mouth shall declare your praise. The friars respond. Their voices rise in quiet unison, weaving into a gentle Gregorian rhythm. No harmony, no flourish, just the ancient echo of sacred intention. You close your eyes. The Latin words are unfamiliar, but the cadence draws you in. The chant becomes a breath. Inhale. Exhale. Word. Silence. Word. Silence. You drift, not into sleep, but into that space just before it, where thought slows and the heart simply listens. The prayers speak of mercy, of trust, of surrender. There is no striving, no asking for reward, only the quiet turning of the soul towards something infinite and kind. Francis reads from the Psalter. His voice is low. Praise be you, my Lord, through brother fire, through whom you light the night. He pauses. Praise be you through sister earth, who sustains and governs us, and produces varied fruits, with colored flowers and herbs. The words are not lofty, they are close to the ground, intimate, rooted in the elements. You begin to understand something deep and simple to Francis. Everything is family. Fire, water, air, sun, moon. All creation belongs. And so do you, and so does he. He finishes with a line spoken more as breath than proclamation. Blessed are those who endure in peace. Then silence returns. No closing, no applause. Only breath, candlelight, and the soft sound of wind outside of the chapel wall. Time passes. You don't count it? Francis kneels once more. This time before the altar. No cushion. Only stone. His body still. His head bowed. The friars remain motionless. You do the same. The air feels full, as though peace has gathered here, rested here, waited here, all day. Eventually, Francis rises, slowly, without drama, as if waking from a dream. He looks out across the room. His eyes are soft. He nods once. The prayer is done. The day is closing. You stand. Your knees ache slightly from the floor. But it is a good ache. The kind that reminds you you have lived something real. Outside, the sky has deepened. Lavender fades into deep blue. Stars blink open above the trees. The air is cooler now. It carries the scent of herbs and distant smoke from the hearth. Francis walks beside you again, this time in silence. You are not the same as you were this morning, not changed by revelation, but by the slow, gentle rearranging of the heart. Behind you, the chapel glows, not only with candles, but with rhythm and return. Ahead, the friary waits, and with it, rest. The friary is quiet now. The kind of quiet that isn't empty, but full of prayers, both spoken and unspoken, full of a day spent with care, full of thoughts that no longer need to be said aloud. You enter the small shared dormitory. There are no doors to close, no locks. Only the quiet trust that night will keep its own watch. The walls are made of simple stone, softened by time. The ceiling curves gently overhead, like the inside of a cupped hand. Candles flicker in the sconces. Their flames shrink as the wax pools. The warm glow brushes gently over each sleeping mat, casting soft halos on the faces of the friars as they prepare for rest. Some are already lying down, hands folded over their robes. Others murmur quiet prayers or move their fingers across wooden rosaries. Lips moving in sound, a rhythm between breath and memory. Your straw-filled mat is where you left it, tucked against the far wall beside an open window. The breeze carries the scent of pine, wood smoke, and lavender fields cooling in the dark. Your breath begins to match the wind. Slow, steady, rooted. Francis enters last, barefoot, silent. He carries no candle. He never has. Not because he prefers darkness, but because he does not fear it. The dark, he says, is where the stars live, where God's voice is softest. He settles in a quiet corner near the hearth, not on a bed, but on a woven mat laid across the stone. A small clay lamp burns beside him, nearly out. You glance toward him. His robe is worn thin at the knees. His hands are folded. His face is calm. You lie down. The straw crackles gently beneath your back. You pull the robe over your shoulders, rough against your cheek, but clean. It smells of sunlight and herbs. The fire pops once. A log shifts in the hearth. The sound is soft, settling. Then Francis begins to speak. Not to you, not to anyone, to God. His voice is barely a whisper, as if speaking directly into the dark. Thank you for this day, Lord, for the sun which warms us, for the bread which fills us, for the earth beneath our feet, and the sky above our sleep. May we wake tomorrow, if you will it, with peace in our hearts and joy on our tongues. There is no reply, no echo, only stillness. Then even he grows quiet. You close your eyes. The sounds around you are faint now. Crickets beyond the window, a soft gust of wind through the trees, the steady breath of your brothers at rest, breathing that speaks of trust, the kind that says there is nothing more to do, nothing more to earn, nothing to defend. You listen to your own breath. Slower now, more grounded. Each inhale carries peace. Each exhale, release. Your mind drifts gently to the fig tree, the faces of the poor, the way Francis spoke to animals, as if they were people, and to people, as if they were beloved. You remember the chants in the chapel, the olives shared beneath a tree, the stream, and the hush of a village settling in prayer. None of it was grand. And yet somehow it feels eternal. A new sound rises. Not speech, not chant. Just humming. One of the older friars. A lullaby, maybe. Something from long ago. It weaves through the room like incense. Francis shifts slightly, pulls his robe tighter. He does not speak again. You watch the last candle flicker near the door. It fades, and darkness settles like a blanket. But even in the dark, you are not alone. The saints do not always shout. Sometimes they walk beside you barefoot. They eat figs beneath a cypress tree. They sleep near the hearth after a long day of nothing but love. Tonight, you sleep near one of them, and in that closeness, your soul feels safe. Let go of the day. Let go of thought. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breath deepen. There is nothing left to do, no burden to carry, no voice to please. You are enough, just as you are. Let the rhythm of the friary guide you. Let the peace of St. Francis keep watch. Let your mind drift like a leaf on quiet water. If dreams come, may they be of sunlit hills, olive groves, birdsong, and the voice of a saint speaking joy. You are safe. You are loved. And the night is full of grace. Good night. O gentle St. Francis, friend of the weary and lover of all God's creation, I come to you tonight with a tired heart and a restless mind. As you once found peace in silence and joy in simplicity, help me now to release the weight of this day. Let your spirit of stillness calm my thoughts. May the whisper of God's love quiet my soul. Teach me, like you, to trust in divine providence, to rest not only in body, but in heart and faith. Surround me with the peace you knew, the peace that comes from surrender, from humility, and from knowing that all is held in God's hands. O St. Francis, pray for me, that I may sleep in safety, rise in hope, and walk tomorrow in love and light. Through Christ our Lord. Amen.